friends, it's Quela guys. Welcome back to my channel, guys. Welcome back. So your girl is back, y'all. I'm finally back and I'm better. Let me put some light in here, y'all. Okay, there I go. So your girl is back and I'm better. These past I haven't posted in like literally 2 weeks. 2 weeks, probably a week and a half, going on 2 weeks. And I've been going through a lot these past 2 weeks. I mean a lot, okay? I'm just gonna give y'all like a story time on my baby and his heart condition. Before I get to this video, y'all already know what I want y'all to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so y'all can be notified when girl Quela straight drop these bangers, because they're coming for us 2022. That's what? Period, child. Period. Like, today I'm coming to you guys with the story time on my baby and his heart condition. I spoke about this in like previous videos, like way back, but I just basically want to come out and just like be more what I want. So I basically want to come out and be more, give y'all more details, like going in depth with the situation. And it's like I want to give y'all like I want to share my testimony with y'all and let y'all know, you know, the situation. Only because I didn't want to keep it a secret. It's like my baby's 1. He'll be going on 2 this month. Matter of fact, my baby will be 2 years old this month. But it's like this whole time, it was I was getting y'all like little bits of pieces of what actually happened. And I know I can't put every little thing from when I first found out all the way up to now, because you know it's been a journey, okay, y'all. It's been a long journey, okay. And part of that has been like why I've been missing for like 2 weeks on my channel, because you know dealing with my baby as well, and then dealing with my husband, like stuff like that. And it was like, y'all, like I said, it's been a long journey. It have. And I want to share my story with you guys. Want to, you know, give you guys the insight on our life or whatever like that. And then for 2, for people that's out there dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with and they're scared to tell their story, because that's how I was at first, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit scared to tell my story. Not that I was embarrassing my baby at all, because that was never ever like on my mind, but it was like I didn't want to tell my story. And I finally came to a point where I decided that I can, you know, share my story with you guys. When I was pregnant, I found out my baby had a heart condition. I was 6 months pregnant, and that's when I found out the gender of my baby. So when I found out the gender of my baby, you know, we had like did a whole little gender reveal and all of that on camera, as you guys can see like in my previous video when we did a whole gender reveal. After, you know, I found out the gender of my baby and stuff like that, that's when the ultrasound, well, that's when my doctor didn't like what she saw or whatever inside the ultrasound. She decided to let me do a follow-up for another ultrasound to make sure what she saw. So I went to another doctor's appointment, and it's scary. It's very scary, considering the fact that I'm only 26 years old and I have to go through this. God let me and my husband go through what we went through with our child for a reason. I don't know the reason behind it, but yes, I'm a living witness of this. So when I went for my follow-up for another appointment for my baby or whatever like that, that's when they saw what they saw. Like, okay, your baby, I did a whole, they sent me off to another hospital, and they actually saw that my baby had a hole in his heart. And y'all, I broke down crying, okay? I broke down crying when I got to the parking lot. And, you know, they were basically telling me like they're going to send the results over to my doctor and stuff like that to decide, you know, from that point what I was going to do, what was going to be done. And I'm warning you guys, I might get a little teary-eyed because it was like so emotional, but I'll be just fine, okay? But anyways, so yes, y'all. So when I got to the car, I broke down and I had told my husband, like, you know, I called him because it was during COVID time when I got pregnant with my son. So my husband wasn't able to come to the doctor's appointment with me. Or like he couldn't come to nothing. Like it was just strictly me. And so I had broke down, I had came home and I had told him about it and stuff like that. And of course he was like all distraught and emotional. And I want to say he probably ended up having to call off work that day because he was like, you know, devastated. After that, I ended up keeping my OBGYN. I ended up keeping her, but I ended up having to get transferred out to a whole nother facility because the situation was going through with my baby. The high-tech machine that they had out here, whatever like that, they didn't have it out here where I live at, so I had to go like 30 minutes away from my house, 30 to 35 minutes away from my house, depending on traffic. The hospital is a great, phenomenal hospital, okay? It's a great, great hospital, the hospital that they end up transferring me to. And they only transferred me there because at that point I was high risk. I was high risk, and they sent me to a high-risk clinic. And from that point, that's why I had all my doctor's appointments at. That's why I had my baby at, okay? And so we had to, like I said, go to each doctor's appointment, like keep going to each doctor's appointment and stuff like that. Then I had to do, like, we had like a full day, y'all. It was like a full day. It was like an 8 to 3 shift type thing where we had to go meet everybody, okay? We had ended up we had to meet with the nurse, the doctors, the genetics counselor. We had to meet with the surgeons. We had to meet with literally like 6 different people this day, y'all. I mean 6 different people, okay? And only because they was basically letting us know what we was going to be aware of and what we was going to what to look forward to, so we won't have no surprises. And that was an amazing team. It was. I'm not going to, I can't stress enough. That was definitely an amazing team that we had. When we met with the genetics counselor, we was trying to see, like, what possibly could this heart condition come from that my baby had. And, of course, the genetics didn't show anything because it's, like, not a genetic thing. It was, coming to find out, it was just basically something that just happened, okay? Like, it's just something that just happened. So that's where that basically came from. So at this point, when they did the ultrasound or whatever, the doctor that like did the ultrasound on me or whatever, this was the actual doctor. My husband was able to come and sit in on me at this appointment, and they was basically letting us know, like, my baby probably gonna be in the hospital for like a week or 2 with, his heart condition, all of that. So, me thinking like, that's not that bad. And of course my husband, like, upset about it because he was like, I'm not gonna say upset, but he was sad at the same time. He was more so sad only because we both never witnessed this. But like, we didn't go through none of this at all with our first son at all, like none of this. But every pregnancy is different, every baby is different and stuff like that. So I just, explain that to my husband, like, every baby is different. Like, it's just, God just happened to pick us to, do this with, for us to, go through this with. The surgeon was like the main person that we was ready to meet, only because this is like the actual person that's going to be working on our baby, all this other stuff. So he was like the priority person. Everybody was priority, but the surgeon was like priority. Only because, like I said, this was the main guy that's going to actually be working on our baby. Him and his team, surgery team. And when the surgeon made a big release for us. He really did. He made a big relief. And he was saying, like, telling us, like, how baby holding his heart and what he was going to do. And he did confirm that our baby going to have 2 surgeries. So the first surgery is called a PA band and a shunt put in. And that surgery is until he turned 1 year old. So he basically said when our baby was first born that the PA band and the shunt was going to be put in him when he first was born. And after that, when he at 1 year old, that's when they were going to do the big operation. On considering like everything that they had to do with my baby heart. So basically everything with my baby heart and stuff like that. So fast forward. So I'm trying to like fast forward everything up only because it was like the journey was so long. And I should have been blogging the whole time, y'all, but I'm just still tell y'all the whole story. PA band and the shunt basically is to keep like my baby oxygen level at 100%. Like keep his basically oxygen level at 100, so he won't be desatting basically, so his oxygen level won't drop every time like he would cry, or every time he was like, his oxygen level basically used to drop when he cried, Or sometimes he could be asleep and his oxygen level will just drop when I seen it from what I saw in the hospital. So fast forward to September when I actually had my baby. I was able to hold my baby for like literally 5 minutes, y'all. Probably not even that. And they had to take my baby down to the NICU right away. What I love about this hospital that they gave us a heads up on they gave me a heads up of everything that they were gonna literally do. So I knew that I was gonna hold my baby for like 5 minutes. You know, usually when you have your baby, you get to hold your baby, make cuddle with your baby, this, that, and the other. But my baby was different. So I had to literally hold him for like 5 minutes, and then they told us that they're gonna send him straight down. And not straight down to surgery, but straight down to the NICU, only because they knew that he had to, before his oxygen level dropped. And I had to send him straight there. They had to, you know, take him out my arm and stuff like that. And I was like, you know, getting like so emotional, y'all. Like, oh my goodness, my baby gonna have to go down, this, that, and the other. Like, all I just had to think about was this long journey that we had ahead of us. Like, that's all I was thinking about. So, but I was okay though. I was, you know, I stayed, you know, I did way 1,000% better than what I thought I was gonna do, y'all. Okay, like I thought I was gonna be like, I was distraught already because of my baby going through what he was going through, but baby, I kept myself together. Okay, I got to the hospital at 12:30. I had my baby at 5:20 that afternoon. So that same day when I got to the hospital, I had my baby that same day. So I was able to, you know, push my baby out, just and other. Zaire held him for a couple of minutes. Zaire was 5 pounds and 14 ounces. Fast forward to November. I had my baby September 14th, and my baby had his first operation done November 2nd. You know, the same year, 2020. So the operation, and man, y'all, like I said, the surgeon said he was gonna have his operation done as soon as he came out. But he did so good, y'all. Like, my baby did so good that they end up having to weigh off his surgery a tad bit longer till he was 2 months, only because, no, he was 1 month, actually 1 month. Yeah, so till my baby was 1 month, he had surgery 1 month. So he was still considered a newborn. He was only 1 month when he had surgery. But my baby was so chunky, y'all. He was so big. Like, he didn't even look like he was 1 month. And like the surgeons now expected, like, you know, his saturation level was gonna go down. They've done tons of surgeries like this. So it wasn't like nothing new to them, but it was new to us. Like I said, it was new to us. So we was asking all kind of questions, y'all. Like, all kind of questions. Like, every time we seen the doctor, we met up with the doctor, we was just, baby, y'all. That's why my baby's so spoiled to this day, y'all, because he's like very hip to me, because to me and Isaiah as well, but mainly me, because I held him, you know, I was giving him that mother love. Not to say that Isaiah wasn't doing the same thing, like giving him that father love, but I can blame myself for this. I held Zaire. I just did everything with Zaire, okay, y'all? Like, I gave my baby that bond, that everything. I really did. So it was like, that's why he's so clingy to me. You know how you got that one child that's just clinging to the daddy, clinging to you? This is Junior. He's clinging to me and Isaiah, but Junior's more so of a daddy's boy. And Zaire is a mama's boy. Like, he loved his mom, and Junior love his daddy, okay? So it's like, we both got one-to-one that clings to us. So when November 2nd came, my baby had his surgery. He was in surgery for like 3 hours. Probably about 3 hours tops. My baby did an excellent job. This is the first surgery, which is this PA band and the shunt surgery that I told you guys that he was going to have until he turned 1 year old. My baby was able to come home on November 16th. And by him being a cardiac baby, he was drinking his milk, but it was like they didn't want him to work his heart too much. So they ended up putting a G-tube, an NG tube in my baby. An NG tube is basically like a feeding tube in my baby nose. And he was on that for a while. Like, they took it off in the hospital because he was doing good then. You know, he was still drinking from his bottle, but sometimes, like, yeah, he'd be like, not want his bottle at all. So it was like, you know, they just had to put an NG tube in his nose so he basically forced to take the milk down. It wasn't like he was throwing up. It was just like his heart was like okay, I'm tired now. Can I get, he basically wanted help to drink the bottle. So the NG tube was to basically help him drink the bottle. We had to have like a parental lesson on that with the NG tube. And he ended up coming home on the NG tube. So it was basically like whatever he didn't drink by mouth, put the rest down the feeding tube. That's how it went. Zaire, like one point, he was like, forget it. He didn't want to take no bottle at all. So he was just drinking straight through the NG tube. Like we was just putting the NG tube, and every time you look around, Zaire was pulling this NG tube out his nose. Like it's like at first it didn't affect him because he didn't care. I'm not gonna say no care, but he really didn't notice it. So at like one point it was like Zaire just pulled the whole NG tube out his nose as he got older. They did tell us like if he kept on pulling it out that they were gonna do a G tube. A G tube is when they put the feeding tube through your stomach, gastrous tube through your stomach. And at first, we didn't want that done. We was like, no, because it was like, what's the difference? So I just kept on telling Zaire, like, Zaire really didn't understand anyway, but it was like, with the NG tube, you can only have it in your nose for so long anyway, before, they decide to go to the next step. And between these sessions, guys, Zaire did have to have, like, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and all of that. He did have to have therapy. Only because of his more physical therapy. Well, no, he had to have physical therapy and speech therapy. Speech is for his movement of his mouth, to make sure that he's on the right track with eating, his weight gain, right? He had to follow up with a nutritionist and a dietitian. So it's like basically to make sure his weight gain was right, make sure he's eating good, make sure the feeding tube is working well, all this other stuff. We had to literally go through all of this stuff, okay, y'all? Cardiologist decided like, okay, G tube it is. So they end up having to go through another small procedure and getting the G tube put in. That was like literally like 30 minutes to an hour that they put the G tube in. He was like in and out. He did have to end up doing overnights at the hospital so they can like monitor him and stuff like that, which was expected. Monitor the tube, make sure everything was working well. And then he came home with the G tube in his stomach. The G tube was put in right before Thanksgiving of last year. And then this year, in January, he had to have his big open heart surgery, his big operation, January 3rd of this year. This operation was 8 hours, y'all. When I tell you it was the longest 8 hours of my life, y'all. Woo! My man was just all over the place that day. Like, all over the place. Like, knowing that my baby had to be put on a heart bypass machine, breathing tube, all of this. And the heart bypass machine is basically when they stopping your heart to operate on you. And y'all, I was like, my heart pounding now just thinking about it because like y'all, when I tell y'all my nerve was over the top that day. Knowing that my baby had to be put on this heart lung machine for 8 hours was devastated, y'all. We did not leave the hospital not one time. Me and Isaiah stayed right there. We were sleeping in the lobby, like trying to, had our phone volume on the highest it can be, because they call, and what I love about them is they call every hour on the hour. We still, operating on Zaire. He's doing really well. His oxygen level is still stable. His vitals are still good. This, that, and the other. Like, they call all day, like every hour on the hour while they was operating on my baby. And I love that about them because, like, they didn't have us wondering or have us thinking, like, damn, what's the next step? What's going on? They had us, like, they was on there, okay? They took him down by 8, and he didn't get done to 5, y'all. When I tell y'all, he got done a little before 5. I want to say he got done, yeah, at 5. I'm like, it was at 5. But we didn't see him to about 6. Because they had to, about his operation being so big, y'all, they had to, take my baby back down to the room and, get everything together, this, that, and the other, make sure his vitals stay good, make sure his oxygen level stay good, make sure once they closed him, they had to do like an actual ultrasound scan of his heart to make sure the operation was good. Like, they had to do everything. I had knocked on that window like, baby, here it is, 6 o'clock. Y'all said the shot was done with my baby at 5 o'clock. Like, what is the problem? Like, not having an attitude. Of course, I ain't had no attitude, but I was like, what's going on? That was like, then the nurse was like, one of the nurses was like, who is your baby? And I had told her, because I went to go knock on the window, because at this point, It's been an hour, going on an hour, and y'all still haven't came up and gave us, like, what's going on. The last update that they gave us was at 5, telling us that my baby, they had just got done with my baby, and they're closing him up, like closing his chest up, and they're going to do a ultrasound to see was everything, to make sure he didn't have no bleeding, nothing going on in that nature. And I'm like, you know, we were still, you know, happy and content with that and all this other stuff. But then 6 o'clock came, they were like, okay, we're going to come give you guys another update. You know how once he get back to his room. But 6 o'clock came, it was like, okay, where's my baby? I was confused. Like, basically, by him coming back from the OR room, they were just basically getting him settled in. The surgery went great. The surgeon did end up talking to us and letting us know, like, the whole, everything went well, went great with Zaire. He didn't have to have no more oxygen and not all of that stuff. I was never ashamed or scared of my baby, not one time or embarrassed of him, not one time should I say when I hit him. Nah, I wasn't embarrassed for what? And I mean, like, embarrassed as if him showing his heart scar, or him having his NG tube in his nose, or him having his G tube in his stomach. I was never embarrassed today because I love my baby how he is. God did things for a reason, and I'm not ashamed or embarrassed at all. And I took my baby in public and stuff like that. It wasn't like some people, I see that some people who had their baby got a feeding tube, they take the feeding tube out and they don't put the feeding tube back in their baby nose until they get home because they don't want it to be seen in public. Baby, no. I got pictures of my baby having his Christmas pictures in his feeding tube, his birthday pictures, all of this stuff, because it's a milestone. It's something that is life. Like, you're going to go through it, and it's just life. That's just how I look at it. At one point, I did think about, like, getting a fade cream for my baby so, like, his scar to fade away. But once I talked to my husband was like, no, we're not going to mess with his scar at all. We're just going to let it be milestone for him. It's for him to cherish. It's for him to, something for him to look back on. And I told my husband, like, he was so right, because it was like, hiding for what? It was like, it wasn't no point in me trying to get a fade cream to, you know, let the scar fade away if it's for him. And I'm basically saying this to say, do not be embarrassed of y'all kids, honey, at all. Do not be, whether they get any kind of surgery, do not be embarrassed of your kids. Just let them still be them. Let them kids still be a kid, honey. And just, like I said, it could be a milestone for you. It was definitely a milestone for me and my husband. Something that we went through together, we cherished together. That's why I can't wait to see what God has in store for us, because it's going to come. It will. And I'm telling my story so it can help you guys who's scared to tell their story. Tell it, baby. Like, just don't be ashamed. Do not be ashamed, because, like I said, I'm 25. I'm 26 years old. I was 25 years old at the time when I found out that my baby had what he had. So it was like, I'm not ashamed or embarrassed of anything that I'm going through with my baby. I'm not, because it's life. He's my baby, and he's going to be here forever, okay? And I'm thankful for what God brought us through. I'm not finna question God in any nature at all. I'm just thankful. I am. So I'm about to go ahead and end this video right here, y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell to be notified when we go drop these bangers. Because they come for us 2022. That's what? Period, y'all. Period. And I'm see y'all in another video.